Antiphospholipid Syndrome. What is that? Plus genetic causes for repeated miscarriages and my 18-week pregnancy update coming up on this video. Hey there, you're watching Mackenzie TV. We're a family of three. We share family-related content, and if you don't know, I am 18 weeks pregnant after several miscarriages, one of which the fetus expired inside of me. The others, it got released at some point. So, if you haven't been following our vlogs, which you should be, go ahead and subscribe to our channel right now. But I have been seeing a pregnancy specialist. I wanted to share some things with you that I found out recently about a lot of genetic information that is commonly associated or cause for miscarriages. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, then keep watching. First of all, I wanted to go over some of the genetic causes of repeated miscarriages. Now, again, this is just what I learned at my appointment. Is for informational purposes only, and I want to create this as a resource for you, so you can have a conversation with your medical care provider about these things, because we had no idea until we spoke with a specific doctor who referred us to the specialist to find this information out. Otherwise, we were clueless to what was going on. For me personally, a lot of the tests came back fine. There were some findings that I'm going to share with you. I want to get that part out of the way just in case you're worrying or concerned about what's going on with me, because it has been a few weeks since I've published a pregnancy update. We did go on vacation for a couple of weeks, and I wanted to make sure that I had the information right. I also wanted to make sure that I was emotionally sound enough to make this video, because I'm not really into the whole crying on camera thing, even though I know it's authentic and quite natural. Quite natural to cry. It's okay to cry, and I understand that, but I just don't want to be publishing content that's going to upset or add more upset to a situation while still being relatable. So I wanted to make sure I had the information and my own emotions in a good place, as well as going on vacation. So where to start? Genetic causes for repeated miscarriages. Okay, all right. So as far as genetic testing goes, there are three tests, or I would say three tests or three categories that I had to do. The first was I had to get my own genetics tested to make sure that my genetics didn't have an error. So in this case, the actual mother doesn't show any signs or symptoms of anything being wrong. It's just basically, if you can imagine, I have a pan. All right, so here's a visual. So chromosomes, they have to have matching pairs. Everyone has to have the matching pairs of each chromosome. So let's say these are my chromosomes. But when my chromosomes were being made, or this is just an example, but let's say when my chromosomes were being made, this is the pair, right? But actually, let me turn it this way. This part of this chromosome is actually attached to this one. So this is actually how the chromosome looks. This is how the chromosome is supposed to look. So when everything pairs up, you still get this. Okay, you still get your normal set of chromosomes like this. They still match. But when you make a baby, they split back apart, and say the baby inherits this chromosome with the pen top attached to this one. When it goes to connect with this, the other parent's version of this chromosome, there's not going to be another half down here of this one. So that causes an error in the baby, and it expires that way. So I got my chromosomes tested, which came back normal. But she did say, my geneticist, I saw a genetic specialist, and I also saw a genetics OBGYN specialist. So the geneticist did say that that is a common cause when we see recurrent miscarriages. Another one is a bunch of diseases. It's a whole list that they have, of 100, just over 100 genetic disorders that commonly cause miscarriages. So I also had to get tested for that. Mine came back mostly negative except one, and that was the autosomal recessive congenital myotonia, which is very interesting. At this point, I would tell anyone to go get your genetics tested just based on my results for this, because it could have been potentially causing me issues that I blamed on other things, and I would never have known if I never got my genetics tested. But basically, with any of these screenings, you have to have both parents. So even if one parent carried a gene for any of the diseases and the other didn't, it would not show in the babies, the offspring. So both parents have to come together and have a gene that the baby ends up inheriting. The baby doesn't inherit all genes from their parents, that their parents have. So the gene has to be inherited by both parents. So this one would, if me and my husband both gave the baby this gene, it will cause a miscarriage for sure. So what it is basically the brain has a heart, it has issues sending signals from the brain to the muscle, where it's like a delay in the signal. So if it, as far as fetal development goes, it will cause the baby to expire either in the womb or shortly after birth. But I also found it interesting that since I'm a carrier of this this disorder, I'm a carrier of it, I can also show symptoms of it. And some of the symptoms, I can show mild symptoms of it. So I don't have the disorder, but I can show mild symptoms of it. The carrier might experience leg pain. So one of the things that I went to my doctor about the beginning of this year, as a matter of fact, was leg pain. And they associated it with arthritis. And it didn't never make sense to me because it was my actual leg, not my joints. I do have arthritis in my joints, I know that. But they couldn't really go deeper than that, because at that time I was pregnant as well. I did miscarry in March. March of 2023 this year, I miscarried. So they couldn't really do a whole lot of testing, but it totally makes sense now that I think about it, because it's not a constant thing. And they said it, and that's what I researched. It's not a constant thing. It's a come and go thing for no apparent reason. So that's that. I don't want to go too much on about that and make this video really long, because you want to get the other information. But that for me was very important to know about, and I would have never known it if I never got my chromosomes tested. So, or my genes tested, the genetic testing. I would have never known this if I never got the genetic testing. So something in your genetics could be causing you some sort of mild issue even, and you just don't know why. From my experience, I would recommend to get your genetics tested just so that you know what you carry, what might be going on, even how your body functions and stuff like that, just to understand your body better. So I got my chromosomes tested and I got screened for those diseases. Now, since I came back positive for this autosomal recessive congenital myotonia, if my husband also carried that, it would be a concern for miscarriage. But she did mention that even if we both carried the gene, it would be a 1 in 700 something chance that the baby would get it in this one disease circumstances. I guess the others still have different probabilities, so it would just depend whatever your genetic makeup is. At some point, we'll probably get his tested as well, and maybe even my daughter's, just so that she can know and be aware of her own body too. So the last one that I learned about was right at the end. During my ultrasound, the doctor, different doctor, they'll be mentioned a disorder called Antiphospholipid Syndrome. And this is an autoimmune disease. And it can, like, the mother can have it already. She can have it and not show symptoms of it. And she can also only develop it during pregnancy. So this is another one. It can be kind of hidden. Basically, what it is, your body creates antibodies that attach to cell wall, proteins on the cell wall, and basically destroy the cell membrane. This is cause for recurrent miscarriages, and you can, and what's so important is that you can have it and not know about it. You can only develop it, and you can also only develop it during pregnancy. So definitely talk to your doctor about these 3 things. If you have any more information about recurrent miscarriages, leave them in the comment box below. If you have your own story, we want to hear about it. Let's share in the comments, kindly, respectfully, as always. I will say this too, that even though I've had 4 miscarriages, the doctor said at that point was still not concerned for recurrent miscarriage. He said that it can happen that way, but we still just want to do the screenings just in case at that point. So yes, definitely talk to your medical care provider. Your OB, like a general OB, might not be able to answer the question, but they can give you that referral to go to speak with a specialist about these things. So yeah, I hope that was helpful. Now on to my 18-week update. I am currently 18 weeks and 2 days. I had my 16-week appointment at the beginning of when I will be 17 weeks. So between 16 weeks and 17 weeks, I had my appointment. They checked the baby's heartbeat, said it was fine. I do know the gender of the baby, but I'm really trying not to say it. I'm here thinking, have I said it already or have I not? So I kind of wanted to be a surprise, but it's also hard to not say the gender appropriate pronoun. So heartbeat was fine. perfect where it's supposed to be. So I get my ultrasound next week at my specialist appointment to check on how everything was going. My last appointment, everything looked fine with the fluid in the baby's neck and different things like that. You might also want to um, check for to make sure your baby's developing properly. Um, Symptoms wise, my morning sickness is really decreased as long as I stay on a certain eating schedule and don't get really hungry. I don't feel any sickness at all. But like if I'm working and or out somewhere and I get hungry, like I have to eat something or I will get really sick. Really hungry too. Like I feel like my instinct just wants to eat something that's next to me. So I have to get something to eat. But as far as that goes, anyway, um, I the morning sickness is pretty controlled and decreased. No vomiting or anything like that. And it has been that way for a while, for about a month. So since my last update to now, it's pretty much been the same as far as morning sickness. Right now I've got a lot of the nasal drainage going on. I do get some headaches sometimes, and that's pretty much it. And the headaches aren't that bad. And you get headaches, like you can feel the difference between a sinus pressure. It's more like a sinus pressure, but I feel it mostly when I lay down anyway. And I researched that if you lay on your left side, it really helps, which it does. But my left side gets sore laying on our mattress all night. So I guess that's just part of it. And yeah, so as far as what I'm taking, I'm still taking the same prenatal. And I've also got on a schedule with that because I can't take everything together. It conflicts for me. I guess some people can take all these things together, but for me, they have to be separated and digested. I did try the early prenatal when I was on vacation. I could have ordered it from Amazon, but I just going doing vacation things all over the place. It just kind of didn't have time to order it, so I just picked up the early prenatal from Walmart. It was quicker and right there at the store. So I did try those. I have to say that I don't really like them as much as the one that I was taking before the hand. So I went ahead and ordered the one I was taking before I had it when I came back. And now I'm starting to take that one again. I did like that I could just chew the gummy and it not upset my stomach or anything. Like my vitamin that I take now, I have to have something to eat with it. But that is probably more me thing because I can't really take, my body's never been able to take pills by themselves. And the instructions do say take it with a meal. But I do take the 2 capsules with a meal with my breakfast first thing in the morning. Then and I have to do it as early as possible so that by the time lunchtime comes, it'll be already in my system and stuff. Then I'll take my aspirin. And the aspirin is to eliminate or greatly reduce the chance of developing preeclampsia. And make sure you read the instructions with that because I don't think I shared my story, but I forgot what the doctor told me to do. So I read the back of the aspirin container, which is not the right dose that you're supposed to take when you're pregnant. So make sure you read the doctor's instructions. But thankfully, I did call I called the hospital. Then I called the poison control. And they said that it was all right because, they said that the aspirin doesn't affect the baby so early. And yeah, that was a while ago, so she's still kicking in there. And speaking of kicking, I do feel movement, but I can't go to the hospital and answer the question. I just cannot, because I just think of last time. We went in there, we were happy and everything. Do you feel movement? Yes, we feel movement, and we did. And then it was like, well, we can't find the heartbeat. Then they did the ultrasound, there was no movement, and it's like, I've come to a point where I can go into the doctor's office and not have that anxiety. But I just cannot answer that question. Last time, my last appointment, I was chill, I was relaxed. I just could not answer that question. I said, well, let's do the verification and then I'll verify if I feel movement or not. So there is movement. Of course, it's not like moving, like dancing around in there, but the little flutter kicks. And the thing about it is they can feel very much like gas, or just wondering this early what that feels like. It does feel very similar to gas. And this is my second pregnancy, or technically my second so far viable pregnancy, but with my daughter, I didn't feel anything at this point, and I was so worried and concerned. But I really like the doctors and the team, the nurses especially, when I was pregnant with my daughter. But anyway, point being that if you are pregnant and you don't feel, or you didn't feel any movement at this point, it's still normal. I don't feel it all the time. And I remember it was like my 20th week checkup with my daughter, and she was like, the doctor put my hand on my belly, and she said, like, feel right here, that's her butt. And I remember that so well, because I had no idea that I could even feel her at that point. But that was still like, I think week 21 or something like that. And I think at that point was when I started to feel the movement. So I think it has a lot to do with the body's awareness, your awareness, and it's just weird that your body actually has to be aware of it. It's like this, like with miscarriages that have happened like weeks prior. Your actual body doesn't realize that the baby has expired yet. So it's still important to understand that some things just aren't in your control. And it's like the doctors keep telling me, it's not even necessarily something I'm doing or something anyone's doing. Some things just happen that way. So yeah, I hope this video has been informative, not too long, and I hope that you have enjoyed this update. I know it's been a long time coming, but I thank you for waiting, and I thank you all for your support and your comments and everything that you showed to me and my family always. If you're not subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe and join our family. You got to keep up to see what is going on with this baby. And I might even have more videos concerning pregnancy and miscarriage, because I feel like I want to share that information, especially considering that I was not aware of a lot of these things myself. So yeah, if you got any questions, comments, feedback, leave them in the comments, and we'll see you next time. Bye. This is my Kimi and Frankie. I gotta show you Frankie, because Frank's be up beside me the whole The whole time I'm pregnant. Only when I'm pregnant, he will follow me everywhere. So you gotta know Franks. Franks is my pregnancy buddy. Stop. And also when I miscarried, he also would you stop? He also he sensed it because not with Majante, but with one of my other ones. He said he came up, and Frankie is a very hyper dog. He's like all over the place, but he came, he sat next to me. He sat next to me and literally just put his head right here on my arm, put his paw up on my arm, and I was like, this is weird. So, yeah, at that point, I kind of sensed that he sensed that the baby wasn't there anymore. So stop. I didn't even ate nothing. So yeah, when they say that your animal can sense pregnancy, they sense changes in you and everything else. That's why I really enjoy having dogs. Um, would you stop? And they can be a lot, so like I always say, you got to make sure you have the right ones for you. But they can also sense things about you that you might not even be aware of or be able to sense at the time that it happened. Stop. Yeah. So my pregnancy buddy right here. Yeah. Yeah. Let me stop hyping him up. All right, get done.